When I was looking at the number, and I don't want to get it wrong, and the total number of years of service is 1,782. That is long. And Lou Holtz used to always say, he said, if you want to be happy for a day, play around the golf. If you want to be happy for a week, go on a cruise. If you want to be happy for a month, buy a new car. If you want to be happy for a year, win the lottery. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, make a difference in the lives of others. And that's exactly what y'all have done. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've seen a lot of people come and go through the years, and it's so neat to see individuals come. You see those who are single, they meet, they become friends, some marry, and then over the years, we have new teachers come in. But the veterans and those who retire are hard to replace, and you never will be replaced. We'll find somebody to take that spot. But please know that what you do matters. It matters a lot. And so I thank you. At this time, I will ask our board chair, Mr. Nathan Morris, to come and call.
Thank you, Brad. I do call this meeting to order. I want to say a few words too. As I walked through the crowd today, I saw a lot of friends that I went to school with. I can't believe y'all are retiring this week. A lot of good friends that I've been associated with Relay for Life many years ago, and it's just a pleasure to be here. I think this might be our 16th honors night that Craig and I have had an opportunity to be a part of, and it's always a night where we really get to say thank you, that we don't do enough to say thank you for what you've done. Y'all have had days, a lifelong of, your retirees have had a lifelong of work and accomplishments and dedication. You've had good days and you've had bad days. So on behalf of the board and on behalf of the community in Hall County, we say thank you. And for you that are Teachers of the Year, keep up the good work. And I do call this meeting to order. A couple of other pieces of business to deal with. I do need a motion to adopt the agenda. In a second, all in favor? We also have a proclamation that I would like to read, and we will submit these into the minutes of our meeting tonight. And it reads as follows. Whereas the following individuals to be recognized this evening have served the education profession faithfully and well for a total of 1,741 years. And whereas they have exhibited a strong commitment to high personal and professional standards. And whereas their service to the children and parents of this community has been a strong and positive influence. And whereas they have contributed substantially to the growth and development of present and future generations. Now therefore be it resolved that the Superintendent of Schools and the Hall County Board of Education commend their many professional contributions and express their gratitude for an exemplary career of dedicated service. Furthermore, be it resolved that the Superintendent of Schools and the Hall County Board of Education wish for them many fulfilling years of enrichment and reaping the rewards of retirement. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be read into the minutes of the Hall County Board of Education on Monday, this 15th day of May, 2017. Do I hear a motion to accept this resolution? A second. All in favor? Thank you. Keep your seats.
Well, good evening. Good evening. One more time, good evening. Good evening. What an incredible event. You look out at this crowd, at our Teachers of the Year, at our individuals who are retiring, and I would echo what has already been said by Dr. Brown in terms of the incredible things that teachers and coaches and the influence that you have on people's lives. But I'll tell you, it takes a village. It takes a team. I look back at the 13 years or so Board of Education that I went to school back in north of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And it wasn't just teachers and coaches. I had some incredible teachers and coaches that took me aside and taught me some of the greatest lessons in life. But I had a lot of other things. I remember changing school as a scared 8-year-old third grader. And I remember the women in the cafeteria taking me aside and seeing that I was struggling going through the line and giving me an extra yeast roll, I tell you. Back then, I don't know what we use now, but it was real butter. And my goodness, how they just had a sense of knowing that this is a little fellow that's struggling. This is a little fellow that just needs as the Cajuns would say, a little lanyard, a little extra, and they'd take care of me. I remember as I grew up, it's nice when you get to a point in your career where I can retire if I need to, so I can be really honest now. But as a middle schooler, I didn't always stay where I was supposed to sit, Mr. Poole, on the school bus. I'd move around a little bit. And I remember Mr. Davis. He loved me enough. What a talented man. My bus driver, Mr. Davis, he could smoke a Camel, drive the bus, reach down and grab his paddle and hit me all at the same time. And we never went off the road. He made me sit in the front seat. But Mr. Davis taught me some incredible lessons. He taught me that it's just because it's funny doesn't mean that it's funny to everybody else, just because it's funny to you. Sit down and behave yourself. If humor is at the expense of another human being, it's not humor at all. And that was my Mr. Davis, my bus driver. I remember in high school, and from time to time I'd end up in the office and I wasn't delivering papers. And I'd be sitting in a seat and it was the secretary. The secretary who could see that I was having a kind of a tough day, and she'd just walk by and it would be a smile and it would be a hand on the shoulder and it would be, it's going to be all right. And I remember what a difference she made. So do we want to honor our teachers and our coaches? Absolutely. But I'll tell you, every one of you that has worked with these boys and girls, whether you've driven a bus, whether you've worked in the cafeteria, whether you've been a custodian, you've had the opportunity to mold young lives. And for that, we want to thank you. Give these folks a round of applause. I tell you too many stories, you're going to start wondering what this Board of Education wonders, and that's why in the world did we hire this guy. But Teacher of the Year. You know, what a great honor for an individual teaching in a school to be named the Teacher of the Year. For those of you in attendance that don't know this, Teachers of the Year are chosen by their peers. And what an honor it is when the folks that you work beside every day say, that's the individual I want speaking for me. That's the man that I want to represent what the teaching profession is supposed to mean. I remember in 1980, I've always enjoyed politics. And Ronald Reagan was the newly elected President of the United States, and something called CNN News was just coming out, and you could watch news all the time. And I remember there was something going on in the Rose Garden, and that they were honoring the Teacher of the Year. And I didn't care, I was a 17-year-old kid, they're honoring the National Teacher of the Year, but I remember watching it, and I can still remember to this day. Ronald Reagan called a man up to the podium from Brainerd, Minnesota. Brainerd, Minnesota. And his name was Guy Dowd. And he called up Mr. Guy Dowd to the podium and he gave him an award for being named the National Teacher of the Year. And after that ceremony, I remember a reporter from a new newspaper at that time, the USA Today. The reporter's name was Steve Marshall. And he came up and he said to that Teacher of the Year, Mr. Dowd, he said, Mr. Dowd, he said, how does it feel to have just been named the best teacher in America? And I'll never forget what Mr. Dowd said. And I know that it's the sentiment of these individuals who are our Teachers of the Year this year. He said, I've got to stop you right there. He said, yes, I have been named the Teacher of the Year, but in no way does that mean I'm the best teacher in America. He said, let me be honest with you. He said, I'm not the best teacher in Minnesota. He said, well, I'm really not the best teacher in Brainerd. He said, you know what? There's a lot of days I'm not even the best teacher in my own classroom. But being named the Teacher of the Year gives me the incredible honor to speak on behalf of the 2.5 million men and women who get up every day and work on behalf of the boys and girls, the children, our future, tomorrow. He said, I'll accept that honor. And I know that's how you feel. So Teachers of the Year, congratulations. We're going to start our program tonight. If we can have our first row of Teachers of the Year, and we're going to go by alphabetical order by school. This was such an incredible year. I looked through the names and I can actually pronounce them all without asking anybody. So I think it's an unusual year. From Chastity High School, Miss Jennifer Dawn Gibson. From Chastity Academy of Inquiry and Talent Development, Ms. Julia Elizabeth Brookshire. From Chestnut Mountain Creative School of Inquiry, Mary Elizabeth Sundermeyer. From Chicopee Woods Elementary, Matthew J. Geary. From C.W. Davis Middle School, Delana Thomas Crandall. Representing East Hall High School, Jenny Lane Bonilla. Representing East Hall Middle School, Karen M. Kraft. Representing Flowery Branch Elementary School, Tanya Center Black. Representing Flowery Branch High School, Global Studies and Leadership Academy, Amy Marie Hansen. Representing Friendship Elementary School, Jane Wall Coley. Representing, I was going to say, you don't look like Jane. Representing Johnson High School, Jesse Vaughn Tomlinson. Representing the Lanier Charter Career Academy, Alicia Marie Johnson. Representing Lanier Elementary School, Beth Leanne Schmoose. Representing Lyman Hall Elementary School, Catherine Lee Wiggins. Representing Martin Technology Academy of Math and Science, Lynn Helene Farr. Representing McKever Arts Academy, Tiffany Ann Rodriguez. Representing Mount Vernon Exploratory School, Laura DeMore Williams. Representing Myers Elementary School, Heather Nicole Bagley. This year's representative from North Hall High School, Karen L. Filchak. Representing North Hall Middle School, Kimberly Smith Nash. Representing Oakwood Elementary School, Christy Avery Jones. Representing Riverbend Elementary, Pamela A. Kane. Representing Sardis and Richmond School, Pamela Marie Rand. The representative this year from Spout Springs School of Enrichment, Victoria Reed Marsh. Sugar Hill Elementary Teacher of the Year, Erin Elizabeth Widmer. Representing South Hall Middle School, Stacy Blackstock Cash. Representing Tadmore Elementary, Marilyn Christie Edwards. representative from Walker Mountain Multiple Intelligence Academy, Audrey Page Schuler. The representative from West Hall High School, Karen F. Fickey. And these are like two of my kids, these next to us, and I'll tell you what. From West Hall Middle School, Mr. Timothy L. Poole. I do think we need to get the rule book out and make sure you can be Teacher of the Year if you still cheat at spoons, because from White Sulphur Elementary, Ashley Noel Clay. Ladies and gentlemen, Brad and his wife Lori, Brad actually made it this afternoon. We weren't sure he was going to make it with us because one of his daughters, Abby, gave birth to premature triplets today. So keep that number one. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I tell Brad all the time the only reason he keeps a job is because of his wife Lori. But Lori not only was our Teacher of the Year from World Language Academy this year, but she was our System Teacher of the Year. But she's where she needs to be. She's with her daughter and her new grandchildren, and I know you'll remember them in your thoughts and prayers. But would you join me in congratulating all of these representatives, our teachers of the year.
At this time, we'll begin recognizing retirees. One of the highlights of my job is at the first of the school year when we have our new employee meetings. And you see a lot of hard work that comes to fruition in one group, and you see them all in one room together. The second day is today, where we get to see a lot of hard work and people who have been there for students for a very long time in a lot of different roles. And so, once again, I thank you. And so at this time, Ms. Gerard, if you will come, and we'll begin recognizing those retirees.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Gerard, and I have the wonderful privilege of serving as principal here at HCSD High School. It is my distinct honor tonight to recognize my retirees. I'll begin with Miss Debbie Gaynor. Debbie is retiring after 10 years of service in our cafeteria. I always choose a word that goes along with each retiree, and the word that I've chosen for Miss Gaynor is life giver. She gives life, she breathes life into all that she comes in contact with. She truly is always happy. You might even find her not only serving food, but out in the cafeteria singing to our students who love it. She always gets standing ovations. So tonight it's my turn to give you a standing ovation. Thank you for your service. My next retiree is Mr. Chris Guthrie. I had the wonderful privilege of stealing him from a neighboring county. After 28 years of service there, I had a trick. I stole his son first and said, "Now bring your dad," and he really did. So I'm so very thankful that my life got to intersect with his. And the word that I've chosen for Mr. Guthrie is congruent. Not only because he's a math teacher, and I'm sure he likes that word, but I really admire this in people. You see, Mr. Guthrie is congruent wherever he goes. He's congruent with people of stature and not stature, status, no status. He simply loves all. So thank you for modeling to us what it means to truly be a servant and to be the same wherever you go. I admire you. My next honoree tonight is Miss Annette Thomas. Miss Annette is retiring after 12 years of service to us here at HCSD. She has spent those years cleaning Chastity, Sardis, and the word that I have chosen for Miss Annette is devoted, because that's exactly what she is. She goes about quietly devoting herself to her work at hand, She's a principal's dream. She does her job, she never complains, and she always finds a way to make it happen. So thank you for your devotion to our school and to our community and to me. You are appreciated. Next, I get to honor someone that I call colleague and friend. Thank you, Miss Anna Maria Tipton, for 15 years of service. The word that I use for Miss Tipton is giver, because that's what she is. She has given of herself to her family, and when I mean family, I'm not talking about just those that she gave birth to, but the rest of us. She's given to my own children. She's given to every child that walks through this building. Her time, her service, really there's no telling, because not only is she a giver, but she does it quietly. She's one of those servant leaders whom I most look up to. Miss Tipton, I love you, and I'm going to miss you. Gracias. My last honoree tonight is Miss Sylvia Weaver. Miss Weaver is retiring after 15 years of service. It took me no time to come up with her word. If you know her at all, you'll know this is her word: joyful. I've never met a more joyful person. In fact, just by being in her presence, you don't even have to be touching her. You can be near her and you become happy. Miss Weaver, I don't know who's going to sing happy birthday to me, who's going to dance in the hallways, but your legacy will live on forever in the hearts of our students and in my heart. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Kogod, and I have the privilege of serving as Chastity Academy's principal. As I was thinking about tonight, there's a quote that stands out in my mind. It's one that I actually have on my email, and the three people that I get to recognize tonight exhibit that. I'd like to read you that quote. Every child deserves a champion, an adult who never gives up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can be. And each individual that I'm going to introduce tonight is a champion. They always put kids first. So the first person that I get to speak about tonight is Angie Fish. If you know Angie, she is just a remarkable person. She has such an amazing sense of humor. She always is an encouragement to me. She has been in education for 30 years. She's actually taught in elementary, middle, and high school setting. She's worked in Dawson County and also Hall County. Before moving to Chastity Academy, she worked at Sardis and South Hall Middle. Her husband, Buddy, is also an educator. They have both dedicated their careers to education, and she has 2 wonderful daughters. And one of the things that Angie has shared with me that she's looking forward to most of all is actually being in a car rider line at the elementary school to pick up Chloe. So it is a privilege to recognize her tonight. She's also a very dear friend. The next person that I'm going to speak about is Margie Reese. Margie Reese joined Chastity Academy in 2002. And that is where she first started working in the cafeteria. And then after that, Margie began to be our head custodian. She not only takes care of the students and the parents in the community, but she really takes care of me. She's a remarkable person. She creates relationships with anyone that she comes in contact with. She's such an important part to our community and to our Chastity family. One of the things that we have as our vision is the word go away, and she exhibits each one of those characters. She has character, she has commitment, and she has courage. And she always strives to lend a helping hand, and she works daily to keep our school clean. So thank you, Margie, for all your service. The next individual is Mr. Alton Smith, but we know him as Pops. You probably recognize Pops. Not only has he worked in education, he also owned Mama Ruth's restaurant, and he worked there for 20 years. He worked at Jones Elementary before joining Chastity Academy, and then he joined our Chastity Academy for 5 years. Pops also comes from a family of educators, and I know that there are several of his family members in here today. We truly love him and will miss him, and thank you for all your service, Pops.
Good evening, I'm Lindsay Child, I'm the principal at Chicopee Woods. It's my honor tonight to recognize Miss Deb Ledford. She's been serving with the Hall County School District for 12 years. She is working in our cafeteria and serves our students every day, and we appreciate the smile that she does that with. After retirement, she is looking forward to spending time with her family, grandchildren, being with her mom who is aging, and with her brother. So thank you so much for being a part of our staff.
Good evening, I'm Eddie Millwood. I'm the principal at Davis Middle School, and it's my pleasure to honor Laura Shaw tonight. I first met Laura when I came back to Davis as principal several years ago, and Laura quickly became one of those go-to people, if you kind of know what I mean by that. If I need to ask advice or just sometimes just have a philosophical conversation, Laura was the person I went to. And Laura, I am definitely a better principal and a better person for those talks, and I do appreciate that. It meant the world to me. Laura began her career in education in Pepper Pike, Ohio. Did not know there was a place, but in 1979. Taught 3 years before relocating to Atlanta. After working in retail for a few years, she returned to education in 91 in Gwinnett County. And then she began her career in Hall County when she accepted a position at Davis, and I'm so glad that that's the path that she took. She taught gifted language arts and moved to Georgia to study for the past 3 years. Laura was not only a teacher, she was also, and has been a leader in our school since I've been there. She's worked on our school improvement team for many years. She's been a junior beta sponsor, coached cheerleading. And when I asked Laura about her fond memories of education, she said she loves seeing her former students and seeing them become wonderful people. And before I say this next thing, just know that she gave me permission to say this. She said the first students that she taught are now close to 50 years old. After retirement, she's going to spend time with her parents who are both 89 years young, rekindle a real estate career, enjoy her family, and with all caps, especially new granddaughter Madeline. Travel and see America, and the good part about it, she can pick and choose when she wants to go now. But this is pretty cool, but the last thing she said is she wants to grow old with her incredible, wonderful love of her life, her husband George. Laura, I'm very excited for this opportunity for you. You've certainly earned it. I'm thankful for the time at Davis. It certainly changed my life, and I appreciate that more than you know. You're always part of our family, and welcome anytime you want to come back.
Yeah, Mom! Good evening. I'm Jeff Cooper, the principal of East Hall High School, and tonight I have the honor to recognize one of my employees, Ms. Bobby Young. Ms. Bobby Young has served the Hall County school system over the last 11 years as a one-on-one paraprofessional with a student that had autism. Bobby's got a heart of gold. She's taken on the responsibility of something that many other folks would not even consider. Bobby says this about her student: we've worked side by side in becoming the best student and young adult possible. She also says that her student is only in school a half a day, so that gives her other times to spend with other students in the classroom. Bobby's been a real blessing to her student Zoe and to also East Hall High School. And Bobby, we appreciate greatly what you've done for Zoe and East Hall High School. Thank you.
I'm Jason Carter. I'm the principal of Flower Branch High School, and I have the honor to recognize Miss Felicia Dole for her service. And she has a lot of special qualities, but one unique one I would like to point out tonight is that in her tenure here, she has opened 2 new schools. She was on the staff for the West Hall High School when it opened and spent 14 years there as a business education teacher. Then when Flowery Branch opened, she moved to Flowery Branch High School and started that school as a work-based learning coordinator. She served as FBLA advisor and interactive advisor for over 20 years. By my count, she has mentored close to 1,000 students in work-based learning and made numerous community and business contacts. She's been instrumental in organizing Black History Month programs at Flowery Branch High School and International Day events. She enjoys mission work, hiking, traveling, and spending time with grandkids and family. Felicia, you'll be greatly missed.
Good evening, my name is Stan Lewis, and I am the principal at Johnson High School. And it is my privilege and honor to help recognize Ms. Ann Brunk this evening. Ann is joined tonight by her husband, John. Ann has been in education for 35 years, 16 of those at Johnson High School. While serving at the Big Blue, Ann has worn many hats: department chair, RTI coordinator, interclub council sponsor, school improvement team member, National Honor Society advisor, and so many other roles, too many to mention. She's a 3-time recipient of the Star Teacher Award, a 2-time Teacher of the Year for Johnson, a Featherbone Community Master Teacher, and a 3-time Academic All-Star with the Gainesville Times as Most Influential Teacher. She definitely bleeds blue. But above all else, to me, Ann Brunk is a great friend. She has been there for this principal when he has struggled to make decisions, and she's provided him with support when he needed it. Sometimes she was not even aware that her kind words and her understanding ear and her warm smile lifted his spirits and helped him get through a challenging day. She epitomizes optimism, strength, and compassion, and over the years, like any good teacher, she has modeled those to the people around her. Ann, thank you so much for your many years of service to the boys and girls of Johnson High School and for truly living out the Knight's Creed. I'll miss you dearly, as will the rest of the Knight Nation.
I'm John Wiggins, the principal at Lanier Elementary School, and it's my honor to talk a little bit about Emily Halsey. I met Emily about, I guess, 13 years ago at a Teacher of the Year reception, and I didn't know I was going to be her principal at that point, but just talking to her at that reception and about her passion for children and working with children, I knew that's somebody I'd love to work with. So when I was named the principal at Lanier, Emily was one of the first persons that I wanted to meet, talk to, pick her brain to tell me a little bit about elementary school, a little bit about the history of Lanier Elementary. And Emily had been there and has been there now for 27 years, total of 36 years in education. And she has been a mentor to so many teachers. There are a countless number, I couldn't even put a number on it. And 2 of those that she mentored ended up being Hall County Teachers of the Year. She's been a 3-time Teacher of the Year at Lanier. She is one of the first National Board certified teachers. So those of you in education knows how hard and how esteemed that certification is. And she was one of the first ones. And she brings that every single day in the classroom because her passion is to be with the children, to love the children, to make learning fun for the children, to have a classroom of happiness, which she does with the polka dots theme in her classroom. And I'm really sad to know that Emily's going to be leaving me, but I know that Emily's going to be coming back to help, to volunteer, to sub. I know that she's going to do that. We've had that discussion. I also know that she'll probably, after Rob has her down at the hardware store, working at the Murrayville hardware store so much, she'll probably be ready to come back because he's probably going to work her over the hardware store as well. She's going to become a grandma in September. Matt's having a baby, and so she's looking forward to that baby boy and taking care of him. And I'm sure, you know, if she gets tired of that baby boy, which she probably won't, she might come back and sub. But thank you for all your service. I'm going to miss you, Emily.
Good evening. My name is Lee Updike. I'm principal of Martin Technology Academy. I'm honored to have 3 of my folks here tonight. First up is Teresa Alexander. Teresa is a product of the Hall County school system. She attended Riverbend Elementary, and she graduated as salutatorian of North Hall High School. I won't read the date. She was on the homecoming court, and as part of her homecoming court speech, it was read that she wanted to be a radiologist, an aircraft pilot, or a secretary. But it was her mother who inspired her to become a teacher, and she was grateful to Mr. E.G. Taylor for giving her, at 21 years old, the opportunity to teach at her alma mater. Ms. Alexander's teaching career spanned 2 years, I think, at North Hall High School, 13 at North Hall Middle School, and for the past 16 years, she's been at Martin Technology Academy. In retirement, she plans to spend time taking her dad out to breakfast and pursue her dreams of writing a book. She'll forever be thankful to her husband, Brian, and her 3 boys, Drew, Zach, and Reese, for their encouragement and love, the love for education that they all share. Teresa, I know you ended up in education, but I would argue that 31 years of middle, high, and elementary teaching, you've been a radiologist and aircraft pilot. Thank you, Teresa. Honored also to have Lisa Raver here tonight. Lisa has been teaching for 30 years, and she started her career in the South Side, where I'm actually from, in Henry and Clayton counties. In fact, just before dinner tonight, I realized that she was an elementary teacher while I was cruising the streets of Forest Park there at the same time in the mid-'80s as a teenager. She came to Hall County, though, in 1995 as part of the original staff at Friendship Elementary, and she helped open Martin in 2000 as a second grade teacher. She's taught 2nd and 4th grade at Martin, and she sponsors the Junior Master Gardener Club, which I really, truly had no appreciation of before I became an elementary principal. But she spends countless hours, and she has sponsored JMG, I think, for well over 8 years, and touches kids in ways that the classroom can't. I mean, she spends so many hours outside helping kids develop an appreciation for nature and for horticulture. She is a brand new grandmother again as of this Friday. She's had her 3rd grandchild, so she has yet another reason to celebrate her retirement. Lisa, thank you so much. And last for me tonight is Melody Tupper. Melody's also taught for 30 years. She started her career in Gwinnett, first at Norcross and then at Harmony Elementary, and she started off in lower grades, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. She came to Hall County in 2002 to teach 3rd grade at Martin, but for the past 5 years she's taught 5th grade, math and science. She's been a tremendous part of our STEM certification effort at MTA, and I've got lots of things that I could say about Melody. She is often characterized as an old school teacher, and she is probably the epitome of what I could ask for in terms of somebody who is willing to take on something new. And when I came to her at the beginning of the year and I said, you know, I really need you to integrate math and science, and we need to do this differently, she looked at me and she said, well, I've never done that before, but I'll try. She has done an amazing job with that, and she was instrumental in Martin becoming the first STEM certified school in Hall County. I've got lots that I could say about Lisa, about Melody, but I went to one of her children, our students, this afternoon, and I said, you know, tell me one thing about Miss Tupper. And the student said, Miss Tupper's a great math teacher. She's inspirational and has high expectations, helping us to be more advanced and prepared for middle school. And I said, that sounds really good. That sounds, did she give you that to say? He said, no, Dr. Hathcock, what I mean is I really learned math this year. I really, truly learned something this year. Those words out of the mouth of a student are far more than I could ever say. Thank you, Melody.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Westbrook, and I'm the principal at Mount Vernon Exploratory School. And I have the honor of recognizing first Miss Pat Owens, and attending with Pat tonight is her husband. Mrs. Owens began her career as a banker, but we're grateful that she learned that she was meant to be a teacher instead. And we're so glad that she chose to spend her entire career teaching at Mount Vernon. She has taught in the regular classroom in 5th and 2nd grade, and more recently she has been a search teacher, teaching all of our students in the gifted program. She's served on the leadership team, and she's also represented us as Teacher of the Year at Mount Vernon. Mrs. Owens says she will miss the hugs from the children. She's looking forward to spending time with her family and traveling. When her colleagues were asked about words to describe Miss Owens, the words that they most frequently used were giving, caring, kind, godly, and patient. Pat is the ultimate team player, which is the gift to any administrator. I'm so thankful that I got to work with Miss Owens this year, and I'm going to miss her smiley face on a stick at the beginning of the school year in the cafeteria. You have to be in there to know what I'm talking about. And I appreciate the way she made learning fun for so many of our students and families, including 2 of my family members. And we are going to miss you so much, Miss Owens. And I also have the pleasure of recognizing Mrs. Kathy Whitmire. Kathy began her career in Hall County at East Hall Middle School, and she also taught at Walker Mountain and Lanier before she settled at Mount Vernon for the last 24 years. She was one of the original teachers who opened the school, and she has taught every student who has come through the school PE since 1993. Kathy was grateful when the school actually opened the gym. She first started teaching outside. So she taught in the smaller gym and the expanded gym, and now she uses technology every day in the gym with our kids. She teaches kindergarten through 5th grade. She's been on the leadership team. She has also served as Teacher of the Year. When her colleagues were asked to think of words to describe Kathy, most frequently they used words like organized, funny, determined, athletic, and sweet. Kathy has the gift of scheduling, which has come in very handy, and we're going to miss on the Connections team and in our office staff too. And last week, I just have to say, she pulled off the best 2 field days ever. I feel like she was going out with a bang and leaving really big shoes to fill. And I'm going to really miss and working with Kathy, but I'm glad I got to work with her this year. Thank you, Kathy.
All right, good evening. My name is Jamie Moore, and I'm blessed to serve as the principal at North Hall High School. We have 2 teachers retiring at the end of this year. Our first that we'll be honoring is Miss Marjorie Hinckley. Marjorie has taught art at North Hall High School for 26 and a half years. And I asked her to tell me one thing that she will not miss and 2 things that she will miss. Miss Hinckley will not miss covering her mouth while chewing and talking at the same time during a 22-minute lunch with peers. She will miss the beauty and the variety of Mount Vernon Road each morning through all seasons and all weather, from crossing the lake at Wahoo, then the high curve of Buckhorn, and finally, Pittman's glade of trees, always with a peekaboo mountain view just beyond. It felt to her like driving through a beautiful landscape painting. Many times she stopped and took pictures of the sky, water, leaves, or the general panorama. She will also miss having a class to be on the lookout for things she can teach with, either ideas or objects and artifacts to enhance units and projects for the next time. To comprehend that there won't be a next time with that particular art assignment will be difficult for her. The hunt was always stimulating. She believes she'll go through a phase of feeling like a retired hunting dog put to rest until she realizes that she probably is the best student she'll ever have, and she will pile art assignments on herself. I'm most thankful for just the depth and the beauty of her classroom and the art that she has filled our school with and just the students' lives, and also just for the encouraging words that she's given to me over the years. So thank you very much. Our second teacher to honor is Miss Carrie Whitlock. Same thing, 1 thing she won't miss and 2 things she will. Miss Whitlock has taught for 7 years at North Hall High School. She taught science and theory of knowledge for our IB students. She will not miss busy Sundays planning and grading, She is looking forward to Sunday afternoons and evenings being entirely hers to do with whatever she pleases. She will miss the feelings of anticipation and excitement that she has had at the beginning of every school year. It will be hard for her to resist the urge to buy school supplies this August. She will miss everything, yes, everything that has to do with the students. And I'm most thankful for Ms. Whitlock opening up her classroom to let me come and teach, and just the way that she approaches her students with open-ended questions that just allow them to explore, and the wonder of it all. So I'm just very thankful for what you do in your classroom.
Hi, I'm Tamara Ederling, and I am excited to be here representing the Trojan Nation as the North High Middle School principal. It's an honor and privilege to introduce you tonight, Ms. Connie Higgins. Connie has devoted her career to the love of reading and English language arts to students across our district, and she began her career at Chestnut Mountain Elementary School, and she also taught 5th grade and also taught high school at North Hall High School. ESOL in reading, and has been our reading teacher at North Hall Middle School. One of the things I love the story about Connie is that everybody talks about how she's devoted 40 years in the nursery at her church, rocking the babies and changing their diapers. And that is pretty amazing. In fact, we just found out that she actually changed the diapers of our recently named assistant principal. Not quite sure how about our new assistant principal feels about that, but we just now expose that to everybody. But Connie has this very adventurous side. I've overlooked the fact that she's an LSU fan, but it does explain a lot about Connie because she loves adventures and she loves crime scenes, which is quite interesting. And she also loves Mother's Day at Six Flags, and any mother that can go to Six Flags on Mother's Day deserves an award. But her colleagues call her loyal and trustworthy, and anytime they need her, she's there. So, especially when there's an adventure around. So Connie, we're going to miss you. Please come around and give us some more adventures. We appreciate everything that you do. Our next honoree this evening is a true Trojan because she has spent all of her career at a North Hall school. So she began at Riverbend. Well, actually, you were at Lawman Hall, but we'll include them in there as well. And then on to North Hall Middle School. She has served as our media specialist and has done many things for our district in the area of that our media specialists needed. One of the things that I fell in love with Jenny was just her resilience, and I use that word because she's calm as a duck. My grandfather used to always say, honey, you need to be calm like a duck. Above the water, you're calm and cool on the water, and below the water is when your little feet are going pitter-patter. But that's what I think about Jenny. She had to pack up 1,252 boxes for us to build our new learning commons. And so she did that. She did it with a smile on her face. I never see her lose her cool. When we moved back into the learning commons at the end of the summer, we had a mix-up and we didn't have any help to be able to get those boxes back in. She never once had a crossword. She just said, we'll get this done. And so it's one of the things I love about Jenny. She actually took a trip to China and broke her arm, and it was in extreme pain. And Miss Benton tells me that she never once, she said she just smiled the whole time. She got back on the plane and had to come home. So one thing I love about Jenny, she's resilient and always calm and cool, and in an emergency, this is the person that you want. Jenny, I hope you enjoy, continue to make soap and your grandkids, and you're going to be truly missed. Congratulations.
Hello, I'm Donna Wiggins, principal of Riverbend Elementary, and it's my distinct pleasure tonight to recognize Ms. Frances Kane. Frances has worked in food services for over 22 years, and she has recently left us to go to spend time with her grandbabies, to travel, to just enjoy life and just have a little relaxation time. She is also interested in substitute teaching, and she tells me, in fact, she has already started at the high school level. So if anybody needs a good sub, here's one for you. She did this before she went into food services. She enjoys working at her church, And she has just been a pleasure to get to know and to work with. She's given the best of her life to the boys and girls of Hall County and to Riverbend, and for that, we say thank you. It's also my pleasure to recognize Miss Marilyn Ogletree. Marilyn also worked in our food services, but retired earlier this year. And she literally and figuratively served our boys and girls for 10 years. She left to spend time with her grandchildren, and she also enjoys traveling. She's been on several trips this year. She is staying very busy, and just what she has given to our school and to our children, it just means so much to us. They miss her greatly, but we're so happy for her to have this special time in her life, and I just want to say congratulations and best wishes.
Good evening, I'm Paula Stutz, and I have the privilege of serving a marvelous faculty and students at South Hall Middle School. Much like Dr. Brown, it's a great time for these people, but when I look at the two that we are honoring tonight, we are going to have some large holes at South Hall Middle School. And so I start with honoring Tammy McDaniel. She is a trailblazer. She has opened 2 middle schools using the middle school concept, and if you're a middle school teacher, that means you've been through lots of rainforest units. And if I know Tammy, what I know about her is she has done them authentically and just with every bit of her spirit and helped students love science. She began her teaching in Clayton County, moved to Pickens. She worked at the Marble School for 5 years. She served elementary and middle school, and because she's such a special lady, during spring break, I made sure that we went by and saw this. So I think about they must have made it that way for you, Tammy. I don't know what we'll do for South, but we'll figure it out. She also has taught in private school, but the last 10 years she has spent with us at South Hall Middle School. She has made science truly with the inquiry focus. She told me a funny story about her first couple years. She said, "Don't you dare tell it." But it does end up with the fact that she is thrilled that she is not stuck in a textbook, but can really help her students. With the losses that she has had in her life, she decided that with all of the years that she's given everyone else, it's time for her to enjoy her family and really wrap her arms around and support them. She probably has a really famous little grandson as well. He's been tweeted about on the Western Carolina tweets. And so we wish her the best. She is taking a really special trip this summer, besides just helping her family. And I've watched her jazzercise down the highway, which has helped prepare her for a 100-mile hike in the Alps this summer with her wonderful husband, Steve. Tammy, we will miss you greatly. The students will, our faculty will, and we just wish you the best. Our second honoree tonight is Mrs. Sharon Purple. She has spent the last 22 years teaching, 16 of those in elementary school in Oakwood, and the last 6 with us at South Hall Middle School. When we had an opening for a culinary arts teacher, she contacted me to say that was her dream job. I do not know why anyone would want to hand middle schoolers knives. The dream job. But what I can tell you about Mrs. Purple is that she has taken those 6 years, and our children have had just a tremendous number of experiences with food, with gingerbread houses, with contests at LCCA, being able to feed our faculty, our staff. And when I asked her about her many years before that, she worked in her family business, Mama Ruth's, but she said she always wanted to teach. Sharon, I can only imagine that you will continue to teach, whether it's your grandchildren or the rest of us. We're going to call on you a lot. I do know that it's time now for her to have some of those extraordinary experiences that you've offered our children. With your husband retiring 3 years ago, I hear that his to-do list for her is quite long. So we wish you well. She did tell me that she's looking forward to be able to go, hey, Glendon, let's get in the car and go. And I hope you enjoy that time. You have served all children well and all of us, and we just thank you immensely for that.
Good evening. My name is Robin Gower, and I'm the principal at Tadmore Elementary. And we have 5 people retiring. We're a really small school. This is a very large portion of our faculty. And so when they tell us we have 1 minute. So I've combined mine. I have 5 minutes about all of them. Just 5 minutes, it's okay. But you have to think about this. These ladies have all been teaching at least 27 years. So when you think about the changes they have experienced in education, I want you to think about this. In the middle 80s, the first laptop had been on the market for 1 year, and it had 256 kilobytes of RAM. We didn't do very much. Cell phones could be purchased for $39.95. That's $3,995, and they weighed about 2 pounds. Donald Trump had his first TV interview with Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes. And he didn't say anything stupid. Sorry. The Cosby Show was the top-rated TV show, and we see where that went. Wham had 2 of the top 3 songs on the Billboard charts. Some of you know, Wake Me Up Before You Go. Sorry. Amadeus was the Oscar winner for the Best Picture. Sally Fields delivered her iconic line, "You like me, you really like me." Back to the Future opened and was the highest grossing film of 1985, and the first Nintendo was released. Think about how their lives have changed in the classroom in the last 25 to 28 years. We know, and I'm kind of infamous for using somebody else's words because mine are never adequate, so I borrow from Broadway plays quite often. And we know that there are 525,600 minutes in a year. And if you think about that and multiply it by 28, these ladies have eaten collectively 25,200 school lunches. They've experienced 140 field days. They've had at least 50,400 parent conferences and a minimum of 700 IEP meetings. I can't imagine. So when we think about each one of them, I have a quote from a favorite Broadway play for each of them. Teresa Cantrell, they're afraid. They're really afraid of what I'm going to say. Teresa has served at every grade level in our school. She has served as a 5th grade teacher since I've been there, and she's worked with ESOL. And in our school, that's a huge undertaking. She has slapped and whacked kindergartners, and it was okay. She also has national board certification, and I have a quote from her from the #1 Broadway hit from right now, from Hamilton. "There's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait." I know that she is planning a lot of adventures for her retirement, so I want to tell her thank you for the adventures that she's given us at Tadmore. Sue Cook has done what many people would see as the impossible. Sue Cook has been in education for 27 years, but she's been at Tadmore since 2006. And her main job has been taking care of individual special ed children. So much so that they would come to me and say, "Is Miss Cook being promoted?" "Yes, she can move up with you." And so the first quote that came to mind when I thought about her is from one of my new favorites, Matilda, because it describes how her children have felt about her. What they needed was just one person, one wise and sympathetic grown-up who could help them. Ms. Cook has served as that wise adult. I've already made Lori more happy because I've used math. Lori is one of those people who absolutely loves math and does it all the time and talks about it all the time. But then she goes home and she does amazing things that we don't think about math teachers doing. She comes in with all these crafty things and pictures of more things that she's done. Lori has had 29 years in education and 16 of those have been at Tadmore. And for her, I have a quote from Les Mis, very simply, another day, another destiny. As a former middle school teacher, Lisa Patton has done something that I believe to be impossible. She is retiring after 29 years at one school, teaching the same grade level, kindergarten, the little bitties, and she loves them. So I couldn't find a quote for her from Broadway. I had to go to the book. Everything I needed to know I learned in kindergarten. And it's very simple. Live a balanced life. Learn some, drink some, draw some, paint some, sing and dance and play and work every day. It took me my first 3 years to learn how to say this lady's name because it's not spelled the way you say it. Well, sort of. Her name is Cheryl Satterfield. Cheryl has 27 years in education and 19 of those have been at Tadmore. She is the queen of Esau. The thing that I'm going to miss the most is that I know that on a daily basis this woman has prayed for me and has prayed for our school. And so I had to go to another favorite, The Wizard of Oz. A heart is not judged by how much you love, but by how much you are loved by others. She is loved and will be missed by our school.
Good evening. I'm Clay Hobbs, Assistant Transportation Director for Hall County Schools. And we have 2 employees from our Transportation Department that we wish to recognize today. They are both bus drivers. And as you well know, bus drivers are in much demand across our nation. So we always hate to lose them, but we are also proud for them to be able to enjoy a much-deserved retirement. Theo Coker became a bus driver in 2006 and has driven for a total of 11 years. He has had a full plate serving the children of Hall County while also serving as a minister. In addition, he has overcome a few health issues, but I understand that he plans to enjoy his retirement while doing some traveling with his family. Theo, we wish you a very happy retirement. Jack Mullis was a bus driver on 2 different occasions for a total of 11 years. He has driven for students at Mount Vernon, River Bend, and North Hall. And Johnson, he says. Okay. And where? East Hall. Oh, me. Jack was one who was always looking for something extra to do. He made himself available for anything that was needed, no matter the time of day or night. Personally, he's a dedicated husband and father. Captain Jack was loved by the students he transported as well as their parents. I wish you a happy retirement.
Good evening, I'm Pam Doig, the principal at Rocky Mountain Multiple Intelligences Academy. I have enjoyed working with the 3 ladies that you're about to get to know a little bit more this last year. They are wonderful teachers. Theresa Barrett's been with us for 30 years in the Hall County Schools, 29 of those at Walker Mountain. She's a speech and language pathologist, and she's joined this evening by her husband Jeff, her daughters Betsy and Ashley, her mom Margaret and stepdad Robert, and her sister Diane. Thank you for joining us. I asked Teresa one of her favorite memories about being a speech and language pathologist in Hall County and at WACA, and she said she had a student that was speaking unintelligibly and you could not understand, and after work for years, this child then made it to the broadcast team at WACA Mountain and could be understood clearly, and to just see that progress and know the impact that she's made on the life of a child and many others. She's looking forward in the next few months to spending some time at the beach, enjoying some activities at church, and to continue to help children on their journey with speech and language. Thank you. Tammy Boggs has been with WACA and the Hall County Schools for 30 years, all in one school. She has served our children teaching special education. She's joined this evening by her husband Frank and her children, Jonathan and Robin, and her mom, Doris Stewart. So when I asked, what's your favorite memory? And there's a lot of them, but one was just this year. And she had a student that she worked with in her self-contained classroom on and off for the last 8 years. So you really get to build relationships and have that bond with your children. And there are times, Tammy said she didn't know if what she was saying was getting through, but then she overheard this child just the last few weeks say to another child, you need to do your work because when you go to middle school, it's going to be really important. And so she knew it's working, those words of encouragement where the child, the student has become the teacher and the joy that brought to her. She's going to enjoy in the immediate future spending time with her family and enjoying the summer, but she's agreed to come back to substitute so she can work any day she chooses. This is Jenny Grindle. For 22 years, she's worked with the Hall County Schools and the last 21 at WACA Mountain. Her husband Daryl's with her this evening, and Mary Ann Blitch is her sister, who also teaches at WACA Mountain, so it's a true family affair. While she has many favorite memories, I'd like to share a funny memory that left an impression. So in her 4th grade classroom, Ms. Grindle was teaching figurative language, and a student came up to her named Matt and said, Ms. Grindle, you're okay in my book. And she said, well, Matt, that's an idiom, and we've not talked about that yet, but I wonder if we can find how it got started. And he said, it's not an idiom, and he walked back to his backpack, got out a little spiral notebook that he had written my book, and he written on the front of it, had a list of teachers, and next to it he said, Mrs. Grindle is okay. She's a gift in my book. She will be not having immediate plans. She said that's what she wants, just to start an adventure and to continue to make connections with family and life, and we love her. Thank you for your service.
Good evening. My name is Scott Justice, and it is my honor and my privilege to serve as principal at West Hall High School. It is a higher honor to be able to recognize this beautiful young lady beside me. Elizabeth Toledo has had the pleasure of working at West Hall High School for the last 14 years. During her years at Hall County School, she has served as a parent liaison to our school community. She's been more than just that. She's been a mom to a bunch of our kids in our building who have no mother or father, and allowed them to have that communicational skill between me, her, and our great community. It's been a pleasure for her to serve and help our families and students who are, like I said, often disenfranchised and separated, created by the language barrier that culture and challenges of moving to a new country have presented. She devoted herself to helping the faculty
and their many needs, communicate with students and family with language barrier. It's always been her hope and desire that our students would receive an education, thus would make a difference in their lives and our community's lives in future generations. In her retirement, she plans to continue to pursue the mission of helping others. She has wonderful 4 children. They're professionals and they're spread out through different parts of the country. And she's waited for the time to be free enough to be able to travel anytime she wants to travel, because they spoil her by sending her plane tickets. They also spoil her for what I thought was probably the greatest gift ever, because it is my dream to move to the beach one day. Her son bought her a house so she can take and go off anytime she pleases to the beautiful beaches of Florida. It is my pleasure to say thank you for what you've done at West Hall High School. Thank you for what you've done for me. You've allowed me to be able to communicate with our community in a way that I would not have been able to do it without you there. Elizabeth, you will be sorely missed. You beautiful, beautiful young lady. Another great lady I get to recognize tonight. It's been a privilege to live in a nation where you can choose life's work. In her case, she's had the privilege of developing 2 careers, one in business and one in education. She worked in the information technology industry for 22 years and then moved to Gainesville to be with her family and elected to leave the business and reduce national business travel because she was traveling so much and spend more time with her children and enter into the middle and high school realms. It was our privilege that she chose West Hall High School. She's been in every aspect of science. She's gotten certified in ELL, gifted, and IB certified. She's very, very remarkable. Very intelligent. She's provided me with personally just being able to go into her classroom and watch what goes on every day, because she truly has a gift to build relationships. Her kids truly believe in what she's doing in the science lab, and she truly believes in what her kids are doing in the science lab. I asked her what her biggest reward was, and she said, my students. I asked her what her biggest frustration was. She says, my students. I asked her most challenging. She says, my students. And what she worries most about? Her students. But what provides her with the most fun, again, is her students. And who has she learned the most from? Her students. She has a quote on her beside her desk. It says, if you want to build a ship, don't herd people together to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. She's done plenty of herding, and she's done plenty of collecting, assigning tasks, work, and assignments, but she's also strived to inspire students to have them long for the endless immensity of the sea. Her plans for retirement include considering more flexible options on the annual calendar in which she travels. Her daughter lives in London, and she looks forward to planning more prolonged visits with her husband and to visit there in the future. Cheryl, it's my pleasure to be able to say that you're my friend and my colleague. We're going to miss you down there in your future. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Dolores Feibel, and I proudly represent West Hall Middle School tonight, and I'm thrilled to get to tell you about my friend and colleague, Miss Min Whitaker. Everyone that knows Miss Min, and I just found out even though I've worked with her for 24 years, because I've always called her Miss Alfie. Everyone that knows her and loves her calls her Miss Alfie. But Miss Alfie came and opened the doors of West Hall Middle School back in 1993. At that time, she became a very good friend, and it's always good to be friends with the people in the cafeteria. And she has done a wonderful job. As I said, I'm very proud to be a friend of hers. She is truly one of the hardest working individuals I think that I know in my life. She is very dedicated. She takes a great deal of pride in everything that she does. All of her colleagues will tell you that she's an expert in everything she does. She wants everything to run smoothly and most of all very efficiently. She is selflessly dedicated in everything that she does. Recently, she shared with me that she's going to be a first-time grandmother in just a few weeks. So even though we're going to miss her, very big shoes for her to fill, we could not be more happy for Miss Alfie for this new chapter in her life.
Good evening. My name is Betsy Ainsworth, and it is my pleasure to be the principal at White Sulphur Elementary School. We have two retirees this evening. The first is Ms. Evelyn Langston. She spent 25 years at White Sulphur Elementary School, and during her tenure as a Panther, she's been a general paraprofessional, a cashier, a kindergarten parapro, a second grade parapro, a media clerk, in charge of the instructional tutoring lab, and for the last 13 years, she's been the secretary and bookkeeper at White Sulphur. Her favorite part of her job has always been helping people. Even though Ms. Langston is going to miss her White Sulphur family, she won't miss telling parents that they can't bring cupcakes into the school building. That wellness school thing's like the hardest part of her job. One of the teachers described Ms. Langston as running the school office like a very high-security bank. You had to return an empty tape spool in order to get a refill for your tape dispenser. You had to return. It gets better. You had to return your broken stapler in order to get a replacement because she needed time with her husband Bobby, who's here tonight, to stay up late at home trying to fix those broken staplers. She insisted there was much life left in those staplers before she would need to place an order. On at least a weekly basis, I try to sneak the old manual typewriter, y'all know what those still are, out of the office to throw it away, but Ms. Langston's always watching me, and she will not let me take it out of the building. This year, she actually took that big old typewriter to our computer lab for our students to have a little history lesson. They had never seen a typewriter. Although Ms. Langston runs a tight ship, she truly is the heart of White Sulphur. She works countless hours to keep our school running smoothly, and even under pressure, she always stays focused on helping people and building relationships. When Ms. Langston retires, she has so many plans. She has numerous unfinished projects in the basement, which she probably won't finish, but now she'll have time to start some new projects. She's going to volunteer, enjoy her grandbabies, and move up levels on her favorite computer games like Farm Hero and Sudoku. On a personal note, since I started as a new principal several years ago, I've learned so much from Evelyn. She's taught me plenty about budgets and benefits and purchase orders, but more importantly, she has taught me to be patient, to put people first, to take pride in all that you do, and to hold yourself to the highest standards always. She's taught me to show grace under fire and to laugh, often quite loudly, every single day. Thank you for being my teacher, my mentor, and my friend. Evelyn Langston has been an institution at White Sulphur for decades, and we will miss her rules, her routines, her kindness, her friendship, and her laugh. Thank you for all of your love and dedication to the children and families of White Sulphur. Congratulations. Our next honoree tonight is Ms. Ellen Poole. Ms. Poole has spent 19 years teaching at White Sulphur Elementary School. She started off teaching with us in the 1990s. She took a little time off and missed us so much. She came back and she stayed for 17 years. During her time at White Sulphur, she taught 3 years in second grade, 15 years in first grade, and her most recent time teaching intervention classes. Her favorite part of teaching is watching students grow, especially in first grade. And although Ms. Poole will miss the students and staff at White Sulphur, she won't miss getting up at 5:30 a.m., she won't miss car rider duty, and she won't miss field trips. One of her favorites was wrangling 100 6-year-olds at the circus. And I remember how her face looked at the end of that day. One of her most memorable stories was when she was teaching first grade in a portable classroom. Most of us call that a trailer. It was storming so badly the class couldn't hear the intercom, so the principal had to run outside to bring the students into the building. It was always exciting. Ms. Poole is a very hardworking teacher. She often volunteers for extra duties, events, and clubs. She goes above and beyond to give our students opportunities to learn and grow. Whenever I need something, Ellen always offers to help with a smile and a very generous spirit. When Ms. Poole retires, she plans to travel, piddle in her yard, that's what she said, and it sounds more fun than working in her yard, I think, and spend more time with her mom. We wish her the best in her new adventures, and although you will enjoy getting out of bed whenever you want, we'll miss seeing you at car rider duty each morning. Thank you for all of your hard work, love, and service to the children of White Sulphur. Congratulations.
Back in May of 2002, we were having a terrible time keeping a custodian employed. And one afternoon, the receptionist called me and said, there's a lady up here that you need to talk to, and you need to come right now. So I went up front, and Wanda Miller was there. And we talked a few minutes, and she told me that she had worked at Warren Featherbone, and she told me how many days she had missed in 18 years. And it was just a little handful of days that she had been sick. And she was hired before the day was over. And the one word that best describes, well, I'm going to use two words. One is dependable. She has been there, and there's not a dust mite safe in the room with her. She will get it. She made her a device to get the baseboards, and she really took care of us for 17 years. In fact, Wanda, I did not know until it was mentioned at your retirement party at the office that you dislike banana peels so much in the trash can, because I don't eat bananas at work. But anyway, I just learned from Kevin Bale that he slipped his banana peels in the neighbor's trash can. On to him. So, anyway, Wanda kept us straight, and she did. She would give us instructions, and she kept us straight. And we love you, and we miss you, and we wish you the best. Another word that I will use in describing Wanda is determined. Wanda has defeated leukemia within the past year, and she's doing well. She has offered to come volunteer in Gardens on Green, and I'm thinking I'm going to call her tomorrow and put her to work. She's done a wonderful job for us. She has 2 grandchildren that she'll be spending time with, and her brother, who is I assume a bachelor and unmarried gentleman, has moved back home, so he helps to keep her company, and we're wishing her the best in retirement because she has really provided for us over the years.
I'm Carla Swafford, and I'm the Director of Special Education for the Hall County School District, and tonight it is my privilege to celebrate Miss Jan Windhorst. Jan has served as a physical therapist for Hall County Schools since 1993, and in fact she tells me that she was only the 2nd physical therapist ever hired in our school district, so that's pretty awesome. She first worked in the medical field at Northeast Georgia Medical Center, but it didn't take her long to realize that what she really wanted to do was to work with children. And she has worked tirelessly to be sure that our kiddos and our staff members have all the equipment and the strategies and the techniques that they need to make sure that our students with physical limitations are successful in school. Her expertise is invaluable to the IEP teams on which she serves. And I remember the very first time that I ever met Jan. I was brand new to this school district, and she had come to North Hall Middle School to work in a classroom there where we had several students who were in a wheelchair and needed help with some personal needs. And she helped us figure out just the right way to make sure that those students could access all areas of the building while they blended in to become a part of the fabric of our school. And that is the hallmark of a truly talented physical therapist, helping our students who normally wouldn't be able to participate like their non-disabled peers while they maintain their dignity and fit in. For a school-based physical therapist, one of the trickiest parts is to separate the medical from the educational, but Jan does it without missing a beat. After 35 years of school-based physical therapy, Jan will be retiring to enjoy outdoor activities like riding bikes and hiking with her husband Mike, who's here with her tonight. And most importantly, they will spend more time with their 3 beautiful grandchildren. Jan, we are going to miss you.
last retiree, would you join me in thanking all of these incredible individuals for the gift that they've given to this community? Necessary for me to do that before I honor our last retiree, because I'm not sure I'll be able to do it after I honor our last retiree. I remember 12 years ago when this board hired me, one of the things that they talked about was, well, if we're going to hire that guy, we better be awful careful about who we hire for an assistant, because he's going to need a lot of help. And they did well. Dr. Eloise Barron. Dr. Barron has been in education, I believe, for 43 years, public education. Has taught school in Fulton County, worked for the Department of Education, finishing there as head of the entire curriculum department for the state of Georgia for 27 years, and has been at my side as one of the most loyal and incredible and insightful assistant superintendents I could have ever asked for. Everybody asked a lot of other people what they ought to say about their honorees tonight. I don't need to ask anybody. You know, I've been blessed to have two incredible parents in my life that have loved me for 53 years. And I've had a couple men who've taken me on as almost a second son through my life. And I've had one woman that I affectionately call Mom. She's caring. She told me we weren't going to do this. And so I said, well, you probably will, but I won't. But she's caring, she's compassionate, she's kind, she's confident, she knows what she's doing. She'll come in and tell you, are you sure you want to do that? Gosh, Eloise, you've just been like another mother. Sure. Jack, why don't you come up here and do this? She and her husband, Jack, I was just kidding. She and her husband, Jack, have one child, Wesley. He's got a very busy job in Washington, D.C. They get up to see him several times a year, and they'll get to see him a lot more. Their home in Alpharetta, the garden, has grown over in a few of the areas. So, Jack, you better get ready, because I think you're about to be a busy, busy man. We'll call on her from time to time, but one of the things I've always said about Eloise Barron, you know, we work in a business where there's a lot of emotion. And whenever people have gotten a little out of control, whenever people have lost sight of reality and what's important, there has always been an adult in the room, and that adult in the room has been Dr. Eloise Barron. I love her. She has been an incredible asset to this district. We wish her nothing but the best. I'm going to keep her on speed dial, and she will be back because I need her help. Would you join me in thanking Dr. Eloise?
$1,782 years. One of the things I do love about my job is you can see the friendships and people become family over that time. Before we get out of here, a couple of things. Number one, if someone happened to come in late and we did not recognize them, we'd love to. So if we missed you, it's hard to see up there. I don't want to miss anyone. Secondly, you might wonder, why in the world are we giving you a cloth? Well, you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it, hopefully, as fond memories of the times you spent in the Hall County school system. Or the other way is you don't realize it's been pre-programmed, it'll ring every 52 minutes. And at lunch, you get 25 minutes. 22. All right, I'm a high school guy, they got 25. Anyway, but I do want to share one quick story before we get out of here, is because I think it's important. And this was shared to me by one of the teachers of the year. 7th grade science teacher I'll call Miss Bridges. And she had a kid in her room named Richard. Richard came into the classroom and he said, Miss Bridges, I know I'm going to fail, so there's no need in me trying. And she said, Richard, you're going to pass, and I want a graduation invitation. You don't understand. Nobody in my family's graduated. I know I'm going to be another statistic. She said, Richard, you're going to graduate, and when you do, I want an invitation. This went on the entire year. And the last conversation she had with Richard before he left the classroom that year said, Richard, don't forget our deal. I want an invitation. A couple of more years went by and she had a young lady in her classroom. She found out that it was Richard's sister. And she said, oh, how is Richard doing? And the girl went on to talk tell Miss Bridges about it. She said, you tell Richard that Miss Bridges said hello and tell him not to forget our deal. I want a graduation invitation. One day, Miss Bridges was at field day. She had changed schools. And she was standing out there and she heard a young man said, Miss Bridges. And she turned around and she looked, and as kids do, they grow up and you kind of think, I know that face. And when he smiled, she said, Richard? And he walked up to her and she said, what are you doing here? And he reached into his coat and he handed her a graduation invitation. He said, I didn't forget. I tell you that because what you do matters. What you say matters. And there's not a day in my life where I've gone to work where I didn't enjoy what I get to do. Some days are tougher than others. But I just keep thinking, maybe one day, I'll make that difference too, just like you have. And after today, a crazy day at the hospital, when I have 3 little grandkids come along, I'm thinking, you know what, in 5 years, some of you are going to be their teacher. And I'm honored. On behalf of our Superintendent Board of Education, it is indeed a pleasure to work with the Hall County School System and have you part of our team. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good evening.